Hello everyone. In this video we'll be talking about arrays or basically list in Python. So in terms of Python, you can think of arrays and list as the same thing, even though they are not exactly the same. But in this context, we can talk about arrays and list in the same way. Okay. So what are arrays? Okay. Array is a more complex data structure, okay, that you can use to store multiple information at once. So far we have looked at a data type like integer, right? For example, I can declare a variable like age equal to 18. Okay, this is pretty good, useful at times, but it's very limiting. I can only store a little bit of information, right? But what if I want to store, ages of all the students in my class, right? How do I do that? I can't go around naming, you know, multiple variables for every student. So wouldn't it be convenient if I can just, store a list of names, basically a list of values, okay, a list of ordered data. So that's what list help us do. So instead of storing just one age, I can store ages. I'm going to initialize a list with square brackets. Okay, you need to use square brackets for list. This is the syntax. Okay, so I can store multiple ages inside this uh, list. So I can store 18, 20, 21, 19. So right here, I'm able to store ages of 5 students within a one data frame. Okay, so that's what the speciality about a data structure uh, list is. Okay, so how do I access these elements? Okay, so firstly, I hope you have made a note of the syntax of declaration of the list. Okay, so you can think of a list as a memory structure that looks like this. Okay, so this is how, if you had a list of elements going from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this is how it is stored in your memory. Okay, you see, a structure with multiple boxes inside, storing a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Now, one thing to note here is the index. Okay, the first element, by convention, you might assume that the index will be 1, but that's not true. That's not correct here. You need to make a note of this. In programming, indexing normally starts with 0 and not 1. Okay, so this might take a while for you to get used to, but you have to start getting used to this fast. Okay, and the last index, which should have been 6, is not 6, it's n minus 1. So n here is 6, so it's 6 minus 1, 5. Okay, so this is how uh, a list of numbers from 1 to 6 is stored in the memory. Okay, so if I want to access this element, I just have to, go to that index. Okay, so if I want to access the first element, I can just say print ages and square bracket 0. So as you can see, ages is the name of the list and I'm referring to the first index. Okay, so I'm not writing 1. If I wrote 1, it would mean the second index. But I specifically want to get the first index, which is 18 here. Okay, so if I run this program, I'm able to access the first index of my ages list. Okay, so I can, repeat this process one by one for all the uh, elements in my list. Okay, so I can go and write this print statement like 5 times to, print out all the elements in my list. But that would be again redundant, like I told you in my ages video, my for loop video. So if we did that, we would only be changing this number right here from 0 to um, 4, right? Not 5, because last index will be 4. So instead of, wasting our time coding like that, I will write a for loop. Okay. So I will say for I in range 5. Okay. Basically print the ages, and instead of specifically saying the first I'm just going to print this index, right? So first it goes from 0 all the way up to 4. Okay, so if I run this program now, I get all my elements from the ages array slash list printed out one by one. Okay, so this is very convenient for me to traverse my list. Okay, so basically the definition of an array is an ordered collection of data. Okay, but the difference between an array and a list is in Python you don't have to store like an ordered collection of data. So normally in an array, you can have all integer values or all string values, but that's not the case with a list in Python. You can have a random string here that says 20, and this is completely valid. Okay, so if I went ahead and ran this program, I would get the expected results. So that's basically the difference between list and arrays. Okay, but in our context we are going to refer to list and arrays in the same way. Okay, so now let's look at another example. So basically I'm going to write an array of fruits, and I'll be storing two fruits inside for now. So I'll be storing one apple and one orange. Okay, so I can again use my for loop technique. So this time I make it a little more interesting. So instead of just saying for I in range this, I can just simply say for fruit in fruits print my fruit. Okay, so this will give me the expected result. Okay, so this is very straightforward English at this point, right? It's just saying for fruit in fruits, for the fruit in this array, just go ahead and print me this fruit. So it iterates through all these elements and starts printing them out one by one. Okay, so this is really cool, right? In Python you can just randomly start naming stuff, and it's very convenient. Okay, so lists are awesome because they allow you to you know append elements. That is, you can add slash remove stuff from list. Okay, so they are mutable. That's what it means. You can change elements. So how can I do that? Okay, so basically I have a method in my list called append for adding elements. So if I just first let me print this fruit so that you can later see the change after I have done adding my element. So I can type fruits dot append. Okay, and I'm going to append a new fruit in this list to this list. Let's say I add a melon. Okay, now I will print the same list after I have added my new element. So I'm again going to print my fruits. So let's see what happens. Okay, now you can see the result. So first, this was the fruit list I had initialized, and after I appended a new element, this showed up in my fruit list later on. So this is really cool, right? You are able to add new elements to your already existing list, right? So this is convenient for us. So I can also remove elements. So here if I just go and say fruits dot remove, and I want to remove, let's say, this first element apple. So I'm going to specifically just say remove the apple. Now let's see what happens. Okay, so we can see that apple was here. Then we added the melon, which appeared here, and we see that the apple has been removed. So this is very convenient data type, right? You're able to add stuff, you're able to remove stuff. Okay, now there is also one more method you can try out. So it's basically fruits.pop, and this does not take any argument. Okay, what this pop method does is it specifically only removes the last element in the list. So here whenever you talk about, fruits.pop, you're referring to this melon right here. Okay. So if I ran this code, the melon would disappear. Okay. So I'm having some network issues. Okay. So basically, that's what would have happened if I had executed the code. Okay. So this was all to do with the list operations I can perform.